of course, the Old Firm derbies. They play at Parkhead, they play often at Hampden in the finals of major trophies, but Andy, they do tell me that Ibrox is the place to watch an Old Firm game.
It certainly is. You only have to look round at the magnificent stands that they've built here. They're very, very close to the pitch. No fences or anything around here, and it just enhances the atmosphere. At Parkhead, the teams tend to be pretty far away from the actual supporters. Same at Hampden, the support and the teams are pretty far apart. But now here we're packed in, everyone's on top of each other. Fabulous atmosphere.
Well, let's check on the Rangers team. They checked out on the fitness of Richard Gough and Ian Ferguson this morning, and both came through. So Ferguson returns to the starting lineup in place of John Brown. Graham Souness has certainly left these players in no doubt that they've won nothing yet this season, and if they don't buck up their ideas, it will stay that way. Ali McCoist needs just that one goal to set a new post-war record for Rangers in league games. He's been waiting a couple of months for that now, so maybe that's been preying on his mind. Billy McNeil has chosen this Celtic side. He had a problem with the suspension of right-back Chris Morris, but Mike Galloway is available again after serving a ban of his own. The number 2 shirt passing to Peter Grant. Jackie Jekanovski and Joe Miller both rested last week. They reclaim their places now. Paul McStay is Celtic's captain these days. He's blossoming with that responsibility, and also with this week's fulsome praise from the Scotland coach, Andy Roxburgh. The weather has got a little cloudier as kickoff has approached. I think the players will appreciate that. The pitch was heavily watered. Jim McCluskey is the man in charge. The first time he's experienced an Old Firm derby in the middle. So Celtic to kick off. Away we go. Peter Grant playing the first ball forward. Terry Butcher, who relishes these confrontations. Played back by Dovcek, one of the 2 Poles in the Celtic lineup, who've been away in Poland this week on international duty, as indeed Pat Bonner has been with the Republic of Ireland. It's never easy for players after the exertions of travelling to play for their countries to come back and feel absolutely at their peak for the forthcoming league fixtures. That's why the club managers are sometimes willing to pull players out when the representative games come round. Gary Stevens was at Wembley with England, and a winner there. He badly wants to be a winner today. Tense early moments. Butcher taking no risks and urging his back line out. He has to make the header. Here's Stuart Munro with his first joust with Joe Miller. And Andy, that could be an important duel.
Yes, it will be. I think all the players are desperate to get a touch of the ball early on. A game like this, I mean, it's desperate to get a little pass in, a little bit of control, and they'll settle down a lot quicker.
Galloway with a throw. Jekanovski, who's so comfortable on the ball. McStay might try one here, and it was a useful effort too. Chris Woods, who had a memorable midweek and served England well, as the substitute for Peter Shilton. He's actually got some bruised ribs after a clash with Terry Butcher when the goalkeeper had some difficulties dealing with one of those Branco free kicks, and Butcher helped him out. Celtic trying to make the running here. And it's always tense, whether you're English or Polish in this Scottish setting.
Nothing unusual like that in these games, Martin, I can assure you.
The referee sorting out the skirmish. Monroe, it wasn't the best of clearances from Woods, and it's given Celtic a chance to move forward with some menace here, with Miller, support from Galloway. And a corner conceded by Ferguson.
It really is an impressive start from Celtic. They've certainly taken the game to Rangers right from the start. Rangers having great difficulty in actually getting the ball into Celtic's half.
Even from the goalkeeper's hands, and that's why they're penned back, having conceded this corner. Paul Elliott poised from a very deep position to make a charge in at this. Here he comes. And it's a corner on the other side. It's a very interesting position that Elliott is taking up, way outside the penalty area. Now moved on to the corner of the box, but it's the speed that he attacks the ball, but it won't reach him initially. The flick on might have helped him. Johnston having to defend. And he was fouled by Grant.
I think, as you can hear from the reaction of the crowd, Peter Grant, not one of the most popular players at Ibrox, but totally uncompromising and committed to his Celtic cause.
And Mo Johnston, who did what many believe was not possible in switching from Celtic to Rangers so controversially at the start of the season. There will be a focus on him. Well, in the early tackles, the ball not always the focus of attention. Nigel Spackman to take the free kick for Rangers. Richard Goff's gone forward. Spackman again. Helped on by Trevor Stephen. Spackman, who really does all the up and down graft in the middle of Rangers midfield, allowing Trevor Stephen to embroider the play. But it's not going to be easy to embroider anything in a match such as this. If you get one touch, you're lucky. 2 touches in a row, and you are something special. Johnston wants to release it quickly. Galloway trying to use his strength. And Rangers looking to assert themselves really for the first time in the game. And it's not coming easy for the home side. They've taken 5 points out of 6 from 3 league meetings with Celtic this season, but lost in the Scottish Cup, of course. Every match has been a tight one.
It has, and looking at the teams early on, it's noticeable that Rangers have decided today to put Trevor Stephen wide on the right. He has been playing infield in the middle of midfield, but Graham Souness has decided maybe to give him a little bit more spacing in this type of game to play him wide.
Johnston. Mark Walters. Oh, it came off Elliott. Johnston tries to curl it. Just had a sight of goal by that far post as we looked, and he looked too. Stevens. Elliott backpedaling.
Yes, Morris here, great little, knows exactly what he's doing, but Pat Bonner wise to it.
Monroe with a little bit of space, not for long. But Galloway has room. And Rangers, who are moving forward as a unit, had to turn and check back here. And Spackman's tackle well received by the Ibrox faithful. Just, Andy, to hark back on the point of switching Stephen and Ferguson, of course, there might be another reason that Paul McStay is in the Celtic lineup, and Ferguson's likely to win more tackles perhaps against McStay than Trevor Stephen would.
Yes, that may well be in Graham Souness' mind. He's the one man that's been making Celtic tick in recent weeks, and it certainly seems sensible to put someone like Ian Ferguson on him.
Monroe didn't deal with it decisively. Here's Jakunovski. Coyne in the centre for Celtic. But the ball didn't arrive. And I remember in the Scottish Cup final last season that Graham Souness juggled with his midfield. And it didn't work for him that day. He moved Stuart Munro forward. But the clubs, of course, know everything there is to know about each other. Very hard to score a tactical point. Well, even the players with flair being asked to do their tackling. No one can hide out there. And it was Jekanovski on Walters. Ferguson, close to McStay then. Picked off by Butcher. Now Walters. And Joe Miller also having to get back behind the ball when he can. Realistically, Celtic out of the championship race, but it's more than just pride they've got to play for, although there's bags of that, of course. They can influence the way the title is decided, and it would be a nervy Rangers if they were to lose this one, who go to Aberdeen next week. It's a corner.
Sorry, man, it's a nervy Rangers start. I'll say that for them.
And there is so much that's habit about football, and when you are in something of a rut, as Rangers are in, it's not easy to extricate yourself. Celtic with far less pressure on them today, even Graham Souness admits that. But Rangers are the team under the microscope, particularly at this corner, which is taken by Miller. Met by Stevens for Rangers. A corner again. Butcher taking responsibility for Elliott. Woods got it to the edge of the area. In from Dovcik. And Ali McCoy's helping out in the back line for Rangers. Celtic have settled quickly here at Ibrox. And in a way, that was the last thing that Rangers wanted. White. Good work by Ferguson against Rogan. Johnston, Trevor Stevens pass. Switching the point of attack for Rangers. Walters shoots in the end. Oh, and Bonner's lost it. And Maurice Johnston, who so often picks up the pieces, then was a little too quickly onto the scene. It was a terrific effort from Mark Walters, who avoided the obvious then.
Yes, I mean, this is why this man's so important to Rangers. He can win the game with one piece of magic. Cuts inside, people expecting the cross, and that's a tremendous drive. Pat Bonner actually did brilliantly well to stop Maurice Johnston. Paul Elliott scrambling it away. But that'll settle Rangers down more than anything else.
And Bonner wanted to know what went wrong. There was no cover once Walters had got past one.
I think that's exactly what he's asking for. He doesn't want to let Peter Grant a one-on-one, because Mark Walters will relish that situation.
And Peter Grant, the makeshift right back. Chris Morris, the regular right back, suspended. Oh, and Walters confident in his ability, even when it comes to the back pass. But I don't think the fans appreciated that much. Coyne, who was challenging Woods, was always going to be offside if the ball came forward quickly.
It always amazes me when players do that. I remember when I used to play, and if somebody stood on our goalkeeper and they kicked it down the park, I used to let the centre-half win the header, full knowledge that he was going to be offside, trying to get back.
More revelations of Andy Gray to come. Johnston climbed very well. Stevens. Well, Trevor Steven and Gary Stevens have got a well-tuned understanding when they do operate in tandem down the right-hand side. Here's Ferguson infield. Oh, the first turn almost made the space he was looking for. And the referee's whistle stopping what was becoming a useful little spell for Rangers. Nigel Spackman, who got a winning goal in his first Old Firm experience in January. Goff having to cover because Coyne got the better of Stevens in the air. Certainly hasn't been a vintage season for Celtic. Billy McNeil would call it a transitional time, I'm sure. They might end up with one trophy, though. They are favourites to win the Scottish Cup. But week in, week out, which is how you're judged in the league, Rangers have been the best bet in the Premier League. Spackman varying the ploy this time. Gary Stevens. That's a terrific throw by Bonner, because Miller almost made something very dangerous from it. Munro is a very popular character with the supporters and indeed with his teammates. He needed to be at his best then. Elliott. Paul Elliott's had 14 bookings this season, which is really an astonishing statistic to suggest that he hasn't found the transition from Italy to Scotland particularly easy. Dovcik's throw eventually, and in the end it was too late and too far forward. He's thrown away possession. And Johnston has got a good angle here. Elliott slaps it away. Trevor Steven missed a call-up to England this week because of a slight calf strain. The linesman points for Rangers. I think the referee has seen it the other way. And Spackman wants to know why.
I think Nigel even knows how important this game is and how much tension is involved out there. It is settling down slightly now. We've had a hectic 15 minutes and players will start to become a lot easier and a lot more relaxed, but it's never like a normal league game, that's for sure.
Well, Rangers were looking for an offside then that they didn't accomplish. The linesman was quite right to keep his flag down. Butcher giving depth to the defending once more, but Jekanovski almost got past Butcher. They found a way out of trouble impressively. Munro. It's a good playing surface. As I said at the start, the pitch well watered. The players will appreciate that. The pitch is roomy. And if some of the edge does disappear, then there's every chance of those who want to play the open game getting their way. And there are plenty of those on both sides. Here's Trevor Steven. McCoy's through the middle. Spackman to the left. And Celtic almost inviting Nigel Spackman to shoot. Ferguson on for Stevens. It's not an easy angle, and it took a deflection. It's a corner to Rangers.
I think Gary will be disappointed, Gary Stevens. His first touch let him down dreadfully there. Ian Ferguson's done it ever so well. Poke a little ball through to him, and his first touch really should have been better there. He's allowed the Celtic defender to get across. It's a great saving tackle, mind you.
Well, what a great touch to him it was, as you said, by Ferguson on the stretch. And it was nice to see him stretching comfortably after the injury problems that he's had. And that's the reason he's wearing those cycling shorts. Gary Stevens capable of scoring from those positions. Anton Rogan is okay. Goff wanting it hit deep to the edge of the area. Wasn't deep enough for Rangers. Just the feeling now that Rangers are starting to impose their will on the game. Johnston. And that particular contribution from Mo Johnston, greeted with derision from those wearing green and white. He's not their favourite person, shall we say.
Yes, I think you're right in the fact that Rangers are beginning to take a little bit more control now. I think the old saying that one player makes a team tick certainly goes in Celtic's case. Paul McStay is certainly the man that's been making them tick. Rangers, so far, have kept him very, very quiet. Ian Ferguson not giving Paul an ounce of room at all. And I think if Celtic want to impose himself more in the game, then Paul has to be the man to get free and start making him play a little bit.
Coming up to the 20-minute mark at Ibrox, and it's Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Here's Grant. Wasn't the only choice from even this particular 11 to play at right back. Galloway could have filled in there. Rogan's played there. Galloway able to maraud from midfield the way Billy McNeil has put out his side.
Yes, two good honest and definitely very good tacklers involved here. Nigel Spackman just catching him there, but no doubt Mike Galloway will have something to say about that before the game's over.
Jekanovski very nearly wriggled free to have a side of goal. Away by Ferguson. Grant trying to line one up. Walters, who was the way forward for Rangers then, by his skill with the ball at his feet. Trevor Stephen, who can pass it sublimely. Stevens, whose passing is perhaps a little more open to criticism. I know England fans would like to see him a little more accurate. And it was a shame for Gary Stevens then, because the move carried quality and promise. They want to keep Celtic penned into this corner if they can. And they've got, even better than that, they've got a free kick for some shoving by Tommy Coyne. And that's the signal for the advance alongside McCoist of Butcher and Goff. Oh, it might come for Ferguson. And now for Stevens. Celtic have got an offside decision in their favour, which didn't find favour with the Rangers supporters, particularly those in line on the far side there.
It's amazing in this picture, no matter what decision the referee or the linesman's given this game, and half the crowd will think it was wrong.
Linesman Robert Walsh, I'm sure he was right. Spackman. Galloway's tackle, and Galloway's shot. Well, it was something of a creeper in the end, but it very nearly crept in. Great versatility to Mike Galloway's game. Really has come to Scotland in style after being down amongst the lower divisions in England. That shows a terrific attitude to make a career at the highest level, really at the second time of asking. Walters, who's always had bags of promise since a schoolboy. Well, it stayed in somehow, and Walters kept his concentration, and in striving to keep the ball, has got a free kick for Rangers in a position that they might well profit from.
It's amazing in a game like today, Martin, when we have two of the best defences in the Premier League, the two best, in fact, Rangers the best, Celtic the second best, how often it is that a free kick or a set piece is the one that breaks the deadlock.
Well, it's a free kick that Mark Walters is going to take charge of. And there's plenty of jockeying for position going on in the centre. Goff looking to get in first. Oh, and he did! And it was a very good chance.
Oh, that's a tremendous chance, no doubt the chance of the match. We just said free kicks sometimes do it. It's a great free kick. Richard Goff loses his marker and really should hit the target from there. In fact, reminds me of one he missed in midweek against Argentina. Very similar position, and did the exact same thing with it.
Well, having lost the marker, that was a difficult job. Putting it in the net from that position seemed much easier, at least getting it on target. And it's a match where we may not get many such opportunities. Celtic let off, and just adds to their confidence. They haven't been in the game as much since that strong charge from the kickoff, really, when they were first to really show their colours. Steered on by Stephen, flicked on by Johnston, controlled by McCoist. McCoist reluctant to release it. Ferguson. Now Walters. Difficult times these for Celtic. And even McStay can't find a route to safety, and it's a dive. Oh, a difficult one to interpret there. Both players hurt.
Yes, I'd like to see this one again. I wasn't too sure first time round. Mark Walters just pokes it away from him. Yeah, I think the referee quite right there. I think Mark expecting the tackle, playing for the free kick, and the referee just reading that one.
But McStay, a moment before that, was backing his skill to carry the ball out of trouble for Celtic, and even he couldn't manage it. And Rangers collectively launched themselves at him. There is no time.
I think the reason Rangers have got on top is quite simply that Trevor Steven, Ian Ferguson and Nigel Spackman in the midfield at the moment are dominating Celtic's midfield, and it's the vital area. Both defences, as we said, very even, don't give much away. And at the moment, in the midfield battle, the one that matters in this game, Rangers are winning that one at the moment.
Dovcik is okay. And it's a fairly leisurely walk back by Paki Bonner. Jim McCluskey, the referee, has been trying to keep the game moving, stop either side from taking too long at free kicks. Galloway, oh, that's offside. Coyne. Tommy Coyne, who settled the most recent Old Firm meeting, the cup tie at Parkhead. And they used to say about him when he was based in Dundee with Dundee United and with Dundee that he didn't get his goals, and he got plenty of them with Dundee against the big clubs. Elliott always prepared to commit himself when the ball is in the air and let the others cover behind him. Monroe in danger of being penalised for taking too long at the throw. Elliott up well again as McCoist waited for the ball to drop. Johnston. Clipped in by Butcher. That's Richard Gough trying to meet it. Oh, it's a handball! Anton Rogan. A clear penalty.
Yes, I don't think there can be any doubt about this. It's a super ball from Terry Butcher. Gough comes in. Oh, there's no doubt about that. You can't do things like that in your own penalty area and hope to get away with it. What was he thinking about?
28 minutes gone. And Pat Bonner faces a penalty to be taken by Mark Walters for Rangers. Well, Bonner has saved a couple of penalties already this season. The Celtic fans massed behind him are praying for him now. And the responsibility for Rangers when Walters is allowed to take it. The ball was just knocked off the spot then. Of paramount importance for Rangers, this. And Bonner got to it, but couldn't keep it out. Mark Walters, 1-0. Minutes before half-time.
Yes, he's so close to making it 3 out of 3 here, Pat Bonner. Guesses the right way, gets across magnificently, it's low down. Oh, I think it's close. He'll be disappointed in seeing that he hasn't actually stopped it. But I think really the pressure that Rangers have put on Celtic the last 15 minutes, they always looked that there might be a goal on the way, and that's what we've got.
So the hand on the ball, first of all from Rogan to concede the penalty, then on the ball from Bonner to try and save it. But both times it's gone Rangers' way, and now they'll begin to believe here that this is the perfect way to return to winning ways. Elliott. There's no way back to the goalkeeper. The linesman has his flag up. Ferguson heads wide, but the whistle surely had gone. But Paul Elliott was in a situation of some embarrassment then. Well, did that mean he didn't get a call?
I'm not surprised he can't hear in this atmosphere, are you?
I can hardly hear you, Andy. Rangers, a revival they feel now from their recent difficulties. Galloway. Here's Spackman. Elliott has plenty of pace to go with his aerial ability. Johnston making him work all the way then. Mark Walters, who's taken his tally of goals this season into double figures. Monroe. Well, this isn't just a parochial affair when you think you've had a handball by an Ulsterman, a penalty by an Englishman, almost saved by the man from Donegal. And you can be sure that the outcome of today's events at Ibrox will be evaluated all over the football world. One of the great occasions. Elliott. When he looks up, he would have seen Coyne desperate for the ball to be pumped towards him, which it is. Oh, and Bonner, in taking the ball calmly back into his own area, was challenged by McCoist, who... Is the ball going to be placed for a free kick? I don't think it is. Well, possibly the referee's playing an advantage.
No, I don't think you can have any complaints about that. The ball, his bat's not get the ball in his hand there, and Alan McCoist has got every right as a striker to go after it.
Well, Spackman's smiling. His team are winning. Stevens. Stephen. And what it has shown really here, that Rangers do have the extra clout in attack. It hasn't all come off for them so far. Johnston's found goals not so easy to come by in recent games with McCoist, but I would suspect he would get chances the way this game is developing. Bonner pats it away. Here's Johnston in a provider's role. Ferguson. Ferguson felt he was played into trouble then, and maybe if Ian Ferguson had a less injury-interrupted season, he might have approached that with a little more confidence. Andy, I was just thinking that we were criticising Richard Gough for missing that chance, but we should give him credit for being upfield when Rogan was panicked into the handball.
It's exactly, I mean, you don't often see in general play both centre-halves up there, and what we did see from Rangers is they pushed Terry Butcher up for the cross, and who was the man furthest forward in the Rangers attack? It was Richard Gough.
Ten minutes to go to half-time. Rangers 1, Celtic 0. The penalty from Mark Walters. And Celtic at the moment at full stretch to stop Rangers adding to their lead. Will it be Stephen or will it be Walters? Walters trying to get the curve on the ball with the left foot in behind the line of defenders. In from Stephen. Well, Bonner was pleased that that didn't go to his right as Richard Gough came in again in the position of most menace to Celtic.
Yeah, he's very far forward. He takes a nasty one there, Richard Gough. Not like him to stay down unless there's something wrong.
Well, he was down and in an offside position if you say that he was interfering with play. Oh, and Bonner might have been calling that law into question if Walters had chipped the ball over him and under the bar, and surely they can attend to Gough now. Well, it's a game that calls on all the courage, and Gough has never lacked that.
It looks like he's taking a dig in the ribs, probably a knee just coming in there as he dived through for the header. But I don't think Celtic players can have any complaints about the referee stopping the game. You know, if a player stays down for any longer than 20 or 30 seconds, I mean, he must mean he's quite badly injured.
Well, we can look again at the incident that led to the injury.
It's just a good little ball. This is Mark Walters actually just after it. I mean, that's a measure of his confidence. When Mark Walters is on song, then Rangers tend to play a bit. And this is where Rangers, although they're stopping Celtic in midfield, what they are doing in attack. I wish I could lip read. what they are doing is they're getting forward on the right, especially with Gary Stevens and Trevor Stephen are causing Celtic tremendous amount of problems. Celtic just have to take stock of themselves, initially stop Rangers playing before they can start to play themselves.
Well, Goff has shrugged the damage aside, the wind back in his sails. And play will restart with the dropped ball, and that is a contest within the contest. Galloway and Spackman. Trevor Stephen saw the way out of his difficulties by using Chris Woods. McCoist. And again, Ferguson going a-hunting, and Goff once more. Oh, and Johnston picked out by McCoist. 2-0, splendid goal. And Rangers on their way to wrapping it up in the first half. His finishing skills are formidable.
This is a tremendous finish. Alan McCoy's very aware. This is what striking partnerships are all about. Super run across from Mark Walters, clears the way. And that's a magnificent finish from Maurice Johnson. An international class finish. Actually, the move starts when Paul McStay's tackled tremendously by Ian Ferguson in midfield. That was a brilliant tackle that started it all. A great ball in, and that's a super finish in anyone's language.
There are none better in that situation. Well, they've been saying that the partnership hasn't been working fully in recent games, and they'll be glad that they're back on song again. But in any game, that was beautifully constructed, and in this match, it's very special indeed. And that must have been heart-rending for the Celtic supporters behind the goal, into which Mo Johnston deposited the ball. And I just wonder whether Celtic have got the class, really, to rekindle the contest.
I think it's going to be very difficult for them. I think looking back, they've certainly missed Peter Grant's influence in midfield. That was a big blow for them, Chris Morris being out suspended. But full credit to Rangers. From a shaky start, they took the game by the scruff of the neck, and it really is going to be very difficult for Celtic to get back in it.
One thing is for sure, in these matches, you can take nothing for granted. Players draw on reserves that they don't even believe that they have. McCoist in a little episode on the far side then, with Dovchik. Walters. Rangers are on a roll, and Celtic could be caught out again. Stephen. Oh, and Bonner! It's even got to him, Walters. A goalkeeper who's been outstanding in international football, finding the circumstances here, making his reflexes dulled.
What we see here is the worst of Pat Bonner, and then watch this for a save. Magnificent. That's certainly the way to make up for an error, isn't it? Pulling off a save like that. That could have been the final nail if that had gone in.
Those Celtic expressions showing the strain. Stephen. Great running by McCoist. And it was Johnston looking to find the right angle for his shot again. Stephen. Ferguson. Andy, I'm old enough to remember Dennis Law in his prime, and when I first saw Maurice Johnston when he came to play for Watford in England, straight away there was a comparison there which was a bit unfair on Johnston at that stage, but he's gone on and on as a collector of goals in that level, and now the comparison seems a genuine one.
Yes, I think it is. I mean, Maurice, not only is he a goal scorer, he works tremendously hard at his game, never gives defenders a moment's rest. And the comparison now, I agree with you totally, is justified. Maurice Johnston is a world-class goal scorer.
Unlike Dennis, he does get in the headlines for other reasons as well. Although I've been reading an article in one of the papers this morning telling us what a great family man he is these days, and I was delighted to read that. And it's all going for Rangers now. They're much more relaxed in their work, and it's bringing the best out of them. And Johnston even getting away with a missed kick. But when you look back on the first half, Andy, the handball, which looked so unnecessary, really the turning point.
Yes, it was. It was at the time with Rangers having so much pressure. If you felt if Celtic had weathered the storm, they could have got themselves back into the game. And Anton Rogan, I mean, at a time like that, to give away a penalty, it's just, I don't understand. It reminds me, actually, Anton did do the exact same thing in a corresponding game last season when he brought down Kevin Drinkle for a penalty in the exact same end of the pitch. And it really was silly. But Rangers have certainly taken the honours first half. There's no doubt about that. And I'm sure that Billy McNeill will have some stiff talking to do to his team. I mean, he'll be a very worried man, and one wonders what changes he might make. I certainly think he has to do something in his midfield. I think Anton Rogan and Mike Galloway have not contributed enough going forward for him. And whether the introduction of Steve Fulton or Andy Walker at half-time...
Maybe both.
Maybe both. It seems the obvious thing. I think I'll be very surprised if McNeill doesn't make a change at half-time.
Half-time will be shortly upon us. Time for Celtic to take this free kick. And they would hope to get one back and change the picture and reduce the difficulties for the second half. Stephen. Nicely finding Walters. Ferguson has joined McCoist in the centre. And really all that's left for Rangers is for McCoist to break the record. Oh. A first half which has gone to overall form this season, but not to recent form. Rangers have put their recent difficulties behind them with a 2-goal first half here at Ibrox. The penalty from Mark Walters, Maurice Johnston with a splendid second. And it's given Celtic so much to talk about during their half-time as we take a short break, and after that it'll be Richard Keys back in the studio.
Bo knows baseball. Bo knows football. Bo knows real football. Bo knows basketball, too. No. Bo knows tennis?
Bo, you don't know diddly.
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
So, somebody left the kit. I don't know what people think luggage racks are for. I really am terribly sorry. There are oh dear, it's gone right through.
This is great.
So sorry.
I think so.
It's nearly my stop.
1% alcohol, 100% tenants.
Hi, Mum.
You weren't gone long.
No, I was playing Gregory.
Gregory? Again? He must be sweet on you.
Oh, Mum.
So what happened?
I won 6-0, 6-0.
Is that not long?
No, for me it isn't.
Don't change that.
The sensual sound of Barry White, captured on the Barry White Collection. For the first time, all his greatest hits on one unique album, from his early classics to his recent hit, Show You Right. All on the Barry White Collection. The Barry White Collection, out now.
Welcome back. Some game, isn't it? Half-time, Rangers 2, Celtic 0. Gordon McQueen joins us in the studios here in London. Gordon, I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's been a smashing first half, couple of goals and plenty of goal-mouth incidents, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable. That's apart from the Celtic fans, that is. I can't see them enjoying the first half too much. But it's been first-class stuff so far. The commitment, tremendous tackling, as you say, a couple of great finishes there from Morris Jones, and a wee penalty. It's quite a lot so far.
Well, I think, as Andy Gray said, it turned on that penalty incident, didn't it? Let's have a look at it again, shall we? Anton Rogan, the guilty party from Celtic's point of view.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Terry Butcher swings one over to the back post here, and Anton, I mean, he just took a I don't know what he's thinking about here, sticks his hand up, blatant penalty, and I don't really know what he's looking around at the referee for. I'll be surprised if he stays on in the second half. I think he'll be away home in the bus without his fare.
So there's no question about it, was there?
No, he's up here. It's a blatant handball. He knows what he's doing. He's under no real threat either.
And then Mark Walters, there was quite a delay, and I must say he wasn't favourite, in my view, to actually score, but he did, just.
Yeah, well, Pat Bonner's had a tremendous record with penalties this season, and he was very unlucky there. He just got half a hand to the ball, and it flipped into the top half of the net. But I'm sure Mark Walters won't be bothering what way it went in, and that's all that counts. But nearly, just get his hand to it and no more, Pat. And be a little bit disappointed at that, because as I said, there's a tremendous record this year with penalty saves. So that's 1-0 up, and Rangers are really rampant with this time. You know, they've come right back into the game after a dodgy first 10 minutes.
It's a trend at the moment in the game, isn't there? Both in England and Scotland to drive the penalty more often than not down the middle, giving the keeper a great chance.
Yeah, I think penalties are. You've got to be a certain type of person to take penalties. I mean, I certainly don't like taking them. In fact, I don't think I've ever took any. But particularly in a game like that, there's so much pressure. You're standing there. There's a little bit of a delay in the penalty taken there. And you wonder what Mark Walters is thinking. And full credit, he got it on target and goals, and that's all that counts at the end of the day.
I'm hoping we can have a look at the second goal, in fact, scored by Mo Johnston, who, my man of the match so far. Tremendous work rate, a great strike.
Yeah, I mean, he works his tail off, Maurice Johnson, zooms about all over the place, and he thoroughly deserved getting a goal in the first half, because as you said, he's been very, very influential. Him and Mark Walters, I thought, had a smashing first half as well, and Terry Butcher at the back when Rangers were under a little bit of pressure in the first 10 minutes, Celtic forcing a few corners. But this is terrific. McGoy's over to Johnson, great control, and just dinks it past Pat Bonner there. I mean, that was a fabulous finish.
Shouldn't underplay Richard Goff's role in that. He won that ball back.
Oh, he didn't
with a tremendous challenge.
He didn't have won it back. He cleaned through the boy there. And I mean, that's been a feature of the first half. The tackling has been absolutely tremendous tackling. And as you say, it was Richard Goff that started that off. But it was a lovely little ball in for Ali McCoy's. Terrific control for Johnson. And bump, a lovely finish. 2-0. Rangers rampant and look as if they were going to score more goals, which, I mean, we were saying before, I was saying before the game, I thought it might be a little bit tight, but it's not working out that way now. The way Rangers are playing at the moment, because Pat Bonner's maybe not looking as comfortable as he normally looks, as he's looked week in, week out this season. And by the looks of things, Rangers just might get another goal or two.
Well,
here.
Rangers turf at the moment. We'll be back at Ibrox Park in a couple of minutes. Short break. Stay with us.
Tutte le ore, sempre, ma sempre qua. Andiamo, andiamo qua, andiamo qua. Ecco qua.
For as long as he can remember, man has applied 2 coats to almost everything he's ever painted. But with Dulux, once is enough.
Lucozade, the refreshing glucose drink.
Bo knows baseball.
Bo knows football.
Bo knows real football.
Bo knows basketball too.
No.
Bo knows tennis?
Bo, you don't know diddly.
After the passion of heart and soul comes the fire of body and soul. Another 18 classic soul cuts. Featuring George Benson, Misha Paris, Luther Vandross and Tina Turner. Plus Natalie Cole, Lionel Richie, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye and many more. Body and Soul, Heart and Soul 2, out now.
Somebody left the kit. I don't know what people think luggage racks are for. I really am terribly sorry. There are oh dear, it's gone right through.
This is great.
So sorry.
It's
Nearly my stop.
1% alcohol, 100% tenants.
welcome back to Scotland in a moment or so. Gordon McQueen, before we go, I think we can have another look at that second Rangers goal, tucked away beautifully by Maurice Johnston. Richard Gough playing his part with a terrific challenge.
Yeah, good to see all the three Scotland internationals involved.
Woof.
Oof, what a tackle, take that.
And then McCoist's away.
Picks it up.
Has a little look up, and it's a delightful ball.
Yeah, lovely little dink into Maurice Johnston. This is just superb finishing, great control, knocks it down, bump.
And that is why Martin Tyler suggested that he was as good as, in his current vein of form, Denis Law.
Well, I don't think he's far off the mark there, Martin. I think particularly the last season or two, particularly with Scotland's World Cup qualifying matches, has been one of the most influential forwards Scotland have had since Denis Law. So, I mean, he's done a great job for Scotland. I think you can throw Joe Jordan into that category as well, but he's been very, very influential and by far the most important player for Scotland in the qualifying games. And, I mean, that's just international class finishing there from him.
Right, well, I think we better go back. The players are rejoining us. As you can see there, our commentary team, Andy Gray, and very much enjoying himself this afternoon, I suspect, Martin Tyler. Martin.
You're absolutely right, Richard. Celtic are back on the pitch, and we're just looking round, and we can't see any sign, Andy, of a change by Billy McNeill.
Well, that's a surprise, definitely.
While we were chatting at half-time, you were making a point that might interest our viewers about the team that wins the Cup and the team that wins the League.
Yes, I think in the professional ranks, I think everyone knows that it's possible almost for any team to win the Cup. But at the end of the day, the best team in your country, whether it be England, Scotland, whatever, will always come out on top in the league. And I think that's the way the pros look at it. I mean, we've seen how Wimbledon's got to the final and won the FA Cup. But I think the team that's the best in the country throughout the year will always end up being top of the league.
Rangers certainly deserving the rapturous welcome that they get for the second half. And just to finish off that point, Andy, of course, with our coverage of the FA Cup semi-finals happening in a week's time, the supporters of Oldham and Crystal Palace will be hoping that any team means their team.
Exactly.
Graham Souness said earlier in the week, it's up to us to get out of the hole we've dug in recent weeks. Well, they're climbing. 2 up, and the Johnston-McCoist partnership functioning fluently and starting the second half. Elliott. Certainly, Rangers will want to go hell for leather to try and end any lingering doubts here. In contrast, Celtic, I'm sure, will have been urged by Billy McNeill to add more class, perhaps, to their performance. There's been little wrong with their application. They've worked hard enough, and again, it was that freak moment, really, Anton Rogan's rush of blood that turned the match away from them, and since then it's run well away from them. Elliott, unchallenged, but heads straight to Walters. Johnston lurking on the left, McCoist in the centre, joined by Stephen. No handball, the referee indicated it was the top of the chest. Walters. Well, Stevens never frightened to shoot, but sees Johnston in a position that might work to Rangers' advantage. Trevor Stephen. McCoist! All the while, Ali McCoist, as the build-up went on the corner of the penalty area, Ali McCoist was looking to make a position around the near post.
Yes, it's a good ball in from his strike partner. It goes the other way this time. Johnson to McCoist, and Ali's very close to that record. But we mustn't assume that this game's over by any stretch of the imagination. Celtic have been in this position against Rangers many times when they've had bad first halves, and what they do tend to do is put everything into attack, and they'll certainly be at Rangers, there's no doubt about that. There may not be any changes from personnel-wise, but there certainly will be attitude-wise from the Celtic players.
Well, the aggressive attitude might be epitomised by what happened just off the ball a moment ago when Galloway caught Spackman in the face with an elbow. And be worth just keeping an eye on those two as the move builds up for Rangers through Munro, running willingly down the left. Johnston. For the most part, the players' behaviour has been pretty good. And it's not easy with so much expected of them on these occasions. But Galloway's perhaps close to breaking point. And Spackman's nose might also be said the same. Well, if you wanted to believe there's life left in this game, which there certainly is, that was an incident there that epitomised it. Coyne. Nicely done. Goff simply stood his ground. Butcher. Oh, and McCoist is onside. Ali McCoist for Rangers. When Terry Butcher, just as he did for Gary Lineker to earn the corner that brought England their winning goal against Brazil on Wednesday, found the right ball through the middle. And McCoist just a little short of confidence, perhaps, without a goal in recent games.
Yeah, possibly thinking about the record as well. He gets in a good position here, just trying to put it onto his right foot instead of hitting it with his left.
Goff, and it's Johnston. Tommy Coyne was down on the ground for a little while, feeling that he'd been pushed as the corner came in, but he might have been pushed by one of his own players. And then it was a little touch by Richard Goff. Maurice Johnson had to stretch for it, but it stayed at 2-0. Ferguson. Walloped upfield by Derek White. McStay. Oh, and Dovcik was wanting to let the ball run then, I think, and almost turned his back on it. And it's given Rangers a throw. Stevens. Johnston working the defender cleverly, screening the ball from him. This is brilliantly done by Rangers, and Trevor Steven in the end couldn't find the angle for the final pass. But no disrespect to Celtic, and the side with the greater quality is leading 2-0.
Well, definitely their tails are up, and the confidence of those two first-half goals is certainly showing. I feel if Celtic, they must consolidate now. It's very important for them that they don't give anything away in this little spell that Rangers are on top.
And they would love Paul McStay to get a greater grip on things in midfield. His header. Galloway, who won't lack commitment. But beaten by Ferguson. Oh, Johnston had turned his back that time. Goff. Gary Stevens, who had to live with his mistake in the Scottish Cup final last May, which presented Joe Miller with the winner that day. But he's done little wrong in this Old Firm meeting. Andy, what would you have thought Graham Souness would have said to Rangers in this position, to go for the third goal or consolidate at 2-0?
There's no way you can consolidate in a game like this. You can't sit back and let the game just tick over, because if you do that with Celtic, they're certainly good enough and there's enough quality there that they could put you under pressure and get a goal themselves.
Stevens. Trevor Stephen. Well, he's earned the corner. And when you look at the list of Trevor Stevens' qualities, tackling wouldn't be high on it, but it brings that physical side out of every player. Oh, and they played the corner short to Walters. And Celtic lucky to get off the hook that time, because Mark Walters was unmarked. And Pat Bonner is disappointed again with what went on in front of him. Dovchik. Spackman and Galloway. That's the potential flashpoint. Coyne. And Butcher watched the ball, and the referee absolutely right. Coyne was more concerned with disconcerting Butcher than going for the ball. Not been a bad week so far for Terry Butcher, beating Brazil as England's captain and coming into this game and looking as though he might leave it as a winner. McCoist. Challenged well by White that time, but here's Stephen. Oh, and Elliott, in the end, reacted to a call. Paul Elliott's so attracted to the ball when it comes in that even when it's really not his, he goes for it, and he's lost it now to Johnston. Munro. McCoist. Elliott served Celtic well that time. Galloway, offside. Well, Tommy Coyne has shown for Celtic, but we haven't seen too much of Jakunovski up front.
No, they've been well marshalled. Terry Butcher and Richard Goff particularly. I'm not really giving the Celtic front two any problems at all. I mean, they're well in control. I mean, Celtic, Billy McNeil, I'm amazed that there's no change being made or any sign of any change being made, because he has to spice up his attack. There's no doubt about that.
Butcher with the free kick, and there's an offside, and Billy McNeil is in fact going to shuffle his pack. Steve Fulton is getting ready for action. Rogan. I wonder whether Rogan's going to be the player to be taken off. It would be a logical change.
Yes, I don't think there's any surprise in that one. I think Anton Rogan, basically a defensive-minded player, playing out of position in the midfield there. Steve Fulton, far more happy going forward, and this is an obvious change for Celtic at this time in the game. They have to start taking the game to Rangers. At the moment, they're looking very ragged. Rangers are in complete control, but Billy McNeil will be looking to this young man to give them more punch up front. There's no doubt about that.
Well, he was one of a number of players who caught the manager's eye in a reserve game on Thursday. And the other substitute today, not yet called on, Andy Walker, got a hat-trick in that game. And if it's goals that Celtic are needing, which it certainly is, I shouldn't think it'll be long before we see Walker as well. It continues to go the way of Rangers. And in Celtic's defence, really, they have lost some stalwart characters who are just made for these type of occasions, like Roy Aitken, of course, Mick McCarthy, who was superb in that Scottish Cup final triumph. Not easily replaced.
Well, certainly not, especially somebody like Big Roy. I mean, Celtic badly miss his leadership and his qualities that are absolutely foremost in a game like this.
Well, the going is tough for Celtic. Munro. Bonner is in a hurry. In fact, Coyne wanting the ball to be hammered upfield. The goalkeeper waiting until Jakunovski can get there as well. But it bounces over him. Elliott. This is White. Well, it needs this sort of show of enterprise, and Celtic have got to take some risks now. They'll be conscious, of course, that they had 2 heavy defeats here last season. Another incident off the ball involving Galloway with McCoist this time. Celtic, if they are going down, we want to go down fighting, but not that sort of fighting. Butcher. Walters, as Grant launched himself and made no contact. McCoist, Johnston, terrific build-up this by Rangers again, and in the end Fulton got in the way of something like a cross shot really from Trevor Stephen.
Yeah, it was a build-up of quality again, as you say, from Rangers. Starting off with Mark Walters, did ever so well, and of course McCoist and Johnson linking superbly once again.
And now Celtic have got to try and keep tabs on Butcher and Goff in particular at the corner. Here's Fulton. Caught by Ferguson. White. And Rangers well briefed on how to deal with Jakanowski. As we approach the 15-minute mark in the second half, still Rangers 2, Celtic 0. We've stressed that Rangers came into this game 6 matches without a win, but they did draw 4 of those. It was the lack of goal scoring that was a major worry. Well, the touch has returned in that respect. And Johnston and McCoist looking hungry for more. Here's McCoist. Trying to shuffle the ball past Elliott. He got his cross in, and Walters was on the scene, just a little too late for Rangers.
Once again, it's McCoist and Johnson together. Ali gets the break of the ball here and trying to take on Paul Elliott. Tries to sweep it across the goal, but Paddy Bonner well in control.
Maybe Andy Roxburgh's played a part in all this by keeping them on Scotland's substitutes bench and looking for Robert Fleck and Alan McInally in the international in midweek.
Yes, you can call it rested if you like, but no professional likes to miss out the game for his country. And you can bet Ali and Mo will be smarting over that and probably keen to get on with today's game.
Well, I'm sure Andy Roxburgh will be impressed with what he's seen from them in this match. For Rangers, it's a case now of trying to provide more of what they've done so far. For Celtic, they've got to look for the extra ingredient. Stephen. Confident one-touch passing, but on that occasion not accurate. White has got it through, and Miller's come in field this time. Maybe that's one way that Celtic can mix it up a little bit up front.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, Celtic have been predictable today with Joe Miller operating basically on the right. I mean, here's a case of David and Goliath here with little Joe Miller. He comes across, Terry Butcher gets a great tackle in there. Joe wrenching him to the ground. A bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other there.
Johnston. Oh, and Walters is trying to get there before Grant. Celtic are going to make their second substitution in a moment. Andy Walker. But here's Munro for Rangers. Johnston, if they played it right, Stevens was clear. He can still get involved. Stephen. That's playing to the strengths of Elliott. Fulton. Well, the way the game has gone, the front three for Celtic haven't had any service, and any one of them could depart to make way for Andy Walker. But here's Galloway. Well, that's the sort of spirit that Celtic badly need. Galloway not accepting this as a lost cause.
Yeah, it's a good break here. Nigel Spackman just comes back, just catches him. I think professing to the ref earlier that he got the ball.
Well, a free kick to Celtic, and they desperately need to make something from this. And if they were to score, who knows how Rangers would react. They might revert to the stumbling sort of displays that they put together in recent weeks. McStay takes it. Elliott claims he was fouled, and there's no sympathy from the referee. And Elliott has talked himself into trouble.
Yeah, this is one of these, it's just in front of you. Terry Butcher is trying to let it run for a corner, and Big Paul Elliott's trying to get in behind it. It's very difficult to see from that angle. But there's Paul picking up his 15th booking there. I mean, that's the story of his season. Been getting booked for silly things. But I think he felt that Terry just pushed him a little bit. But it's very hard to see from that angle we've seen it.
Well, I think they know how to spell the name by now. But it is extraordinary. Andy, you ever get anywhere near as many bookings as that in one season?
I was happy with as many goals as that in one season.
But clearly, Elliott talked his way into trouble. But Celtic having a crack now. Elliott's gone upfield again. I don't know whether White can get it that far. He has done. But they've got to turn and chase back now. Stephen selecting the right pass. There was no ball on further forward, and he has had a calf strain, remember. I wonder whether that little conversation with those on the bench is to suggest he might not go the distance. Andy Walker still waiting for the call for Celtic. Stephen. What can Johnston do with this? Well, Elliott's pressured into conceding another corner. Now, they do say in the game, don't make a substitution when you're defending at a corner. Will Celtic heed that old chestnut? And they're leaving Walker where he is, so that those who are still out there and are attuned to the pace of the game can mark as tightly as they should from the Celtic viewpoint. Stephen. Here's Jakunovski. McStay won't get there, or will he? Goff slipped. Spackman. Ferguson has turned White, who recovered very quickly indeed. Sometimes you don't pay enough tributes to good defensive play, but that certainly came into that category. One-on-one, and White won the battle. Actually, Rangers want to make a change as well, and Phil Boersma was looking up at Graham Souness in the stand. waiting for the call. Maybe the phone didn't ring down in the dugout. Jakanovski goes off for Walker. That's the Celtic change. And it's going to be Brown, John Brown for Trevor Steven, who's just going to make sure that muscle strain isn't further damaged. And if you want a tough guy to come on and just make sure you don't lose any battles in midfield, I would think Brown would be on your list.
Yeah, certainly. I think Celtic straight swap, Andy Walker for Jakanovski up front. I think John Brown will move over to the left and Rangers will pull Matt Walder to the right side. John being a left-sided player, I would imagine he'll go left, which he is doing immediately. Matt Walter's pulled over to the right, and as you are from there. But I feel it's the time now with Celtic. I always felt in a game if you're 2-0 down, you've got nothing to lose. You're as well getting beat 3 or 4, but having a go for it. And I'd like to see Celtic, you know, let's have a go. If we're going to get beat, let's get beat well.
Are you sure the fans would rather that? Are you really sure?
That's why I'm not a manager.
One thing the Celtic supporters can take heart from is the second half performance so far. But although they've held their own, the sights of goal have been very restricted. Woods has had a pretty easy afternoon. McCoist. Oh, and Brown putting the ball away, and McStay squeezing the pass on to Fulton. Oh, it was just above the head of Walker. Dovcik to Grant. Celtic have got a lot of players forward here. McStay. Butcher played the ball. And Munro cleared it. Paul Elliott's got impressive speed. If only he can solve this disciplinary problem. He's got enough points to avoid relegation anyway. Rangers 2, Celtic 0. The goals in the latter stages of the first half. Mark Walters after 29 minutes from the penalty spot. And then Maurice Johnston 7 minutes later. Walker. Grant. Celtic trying to grasp the nettle here. Galloway just ran into Richard Gough then. It was like a motorway shunt. Except that those usually happen by accident.
Usually.
Galloway, and Brown did Galloway that time. And the referee taking a fairly lenient view of proceedings. I'm not sure that he spotted the last one. And there's now a verbal battle between the two redheads. Elliott. Brown got in. Spackman. Well, Spackman was warned by the crowd rather than his teammates that there was trouble coming from behind. It was Andy Walker. And Spackman having to be restrained now. White. They just can't get the ball to Miller, Celtic, to see whether there is a chance to take on Munro, and it's the passing of Rangers that we admire again there. Well, Bonner in danger of taking too many steps, rather yielding to the pressure applied by Johnston. Here's Fulton. There's still time for Celtic to recover, even if in truth they haven't really looked like scoring.
I think you're quite right. I think Celtic have got them under a bit of pressure now. I think they've given it a shot, certainly in the last 5 minutes, looking for that one break that would maybe make Rangers panic.
Fulton. He's got a high-quality left foot. Johnston. Elliott and McCoist. And that, I think, is going to be interpreted as an accident. Yes, Elliott's been allowed to leave the scene rather than leave the pitch.
Yeah, I don't think Paul Elliott's seen him coming. I think he's got his eye on the ball here. Just gets nicked off. Morris just nicks it off. Gets flicked up in the air. And both players actually, yeah, both players watching the ball. I mean, it's just unfortunate for Ali McCoist that he put his head there and Paul Elliott put his foot. But what Rangers have done, just looking through, they actually must be worried about Mike Galloway making these forceful runs from midfield, and Nigel Spackman, who's been on the whole game and has worked tirelessly, just beginning to look a little bit jaded. They've actually decided to put John Brown fresh on Mike Galloway to trail him in these runs.
As Ali would say, it was only my head.
He worries about his looks, that boy, though.
But I was impressed with the way the players dealt with that. They realised that Elliott, just booked, of course, had made a genuine attempt to play the ball. Rangers properly getting the free kick. Well, my word. And some sarcastic applause by Gary Stevens for Andy Walker. And the referee might not feel so inclined to be lenient here.
Yeah, I think when you're 2-0 down and things are going against you, it's a tackle of sheer frustration, nothing more than that.
Well, Walters can exact some retribution from the free kick. Here's Brown, trying to get a better angle for himself. "15 minutes left. Galloway. Came off Spackman. Celtic thought it was a handball. Well, there's a ball onto Johnston through the centre, and Spackman spotted it but couldn't supply it in the end. Johnston recognised the intent. McStay having to play on the retreat, and that's a sad sight for Celtic. Those around him haven't really cleared enough space for Paul McStay to play in. Coyne. Galloway. And Brown doing the job that Andy Gray spelt out a moment or two ago. Grant thought about the cross and instead invited Miller into the game. And that might be meaningful for Celtic here. It's brought them a corner. Elliott coming from deep. In he goes. And I think the last touch was off Paul Elliott. It is a goal kick. Chris Wood's keeping his concentration there, knowing that potentially there is work to come, although he's been mostly unemployed this afternoon. We'll be hoping that Mo Johnston and Ali McCoist can continue to unsettle Celtic at the other end of the pitch and take the pressure off Rangers. with 12 minutes to go. Butcher backpedaling. Munro repositioning. There's an offside now against Miller in the middle. The Rangers fans will judge this really as confirmation that they will win the championship.
I think everyone at Ibrox feels that today's game, having the poor run, was the one that was either going to clinch the championship or give them a very nervy ending to the season.
And they certainly didn't want to go to Aberdeen in a week's time, having lost to Celtic today. Dobchik is hurt and was actually playing players onside. This is Walters. Johnston, McCoy says he's given another penalty. I think he has. Penalty number 2 for Rangers.
Listen, like Mark Walters did ever so well. Crosses this one into the box. Doesn't even look to beat the player for once. Thinks I'll get it in there. Comes across. Morris goes up. And Peter Grant, I think, the culprit there. It's one of these where, I mean, it's 6-1. I think if you're in a Celtic jersey, you're very, very annoyed that a penalty's been given. But if you're an attacker, you're always looking for that as a penalty.
Grant on Johnston. Will they give McCoy the chance? Walters whipped the ball in. It was testing for Celtic, and Grant pushed Johnston down. I don't think it's going to influence the destination of the points, but it would give Rangers a margin of victory they would feel that they were very good value for. And Ali McCoist given the chance to break the post-war record of league goals, jointly held at the moment with Derek Johnston, who's here at the ground today. Here goes McCoist. He's done it! 3-0! And he's had to wait a long time. And there's no better occasion on which to set a personal landmark than an old firm clash.
Yeah, goal scoring records are there to be broken, and there's not a finer sight in football when a goal scorer actually breaks a record. And Derek Johnston's record stood for some time, and this is a very confidently struck penalty, beautifully struck into the top corner.
It's all up for Celtic now. The effort that they put into the second half has, in the end, counted for not very much. And Rangers looking to extend even this 3-0 advantage. Oh, my word. Derek White happy that McCoist wasn't waiting immediately behind him. But Celtic have had to work so hard just to keep Rangers from imposing themselves on the second half as they did on the first. And in doing that, they've had not too much left, Andy, to attack Rangers and repair the damage.
Yes, they've certainly made an effort over this half, Celtic. They've come out, they've tried to take the game to Rangers. And I mean, they will look back and rue 2 unnecessary errors in their own penalty box. Both penalties conceded were totally unnecessary at the time, and they will rue that. But I must admit, it's been a very emphatic performance from Rangers, and I think they won it initially. In the tactical battle, I think Graham Souness's ploy to play Trevor Steven out wide and sacrifice him in the middle of midfield, and for my money put Ian Ferguson, someone who's taken a tremendous amount of stick in recent weeks, has been man of the match. Not only is he quieting Paul McStay, but he's done a job himself in attacking vein for Rangers, and that's very difficult to do. And for me, he's been the one man who's been superb today.
Jim McCluskey, who's awarded 2 penalties in his first Old Firm game. And I think treated the potential flashpoints with good sympathy. He hasn't wanted to wave the yellow card around, and players appreciate that.
I think he's had an excellent game. I don't think there was any doubt about the penalties. People might say they were controversial. I don't think so. Pretty clear-cut. Proved to be right on both occasions. And I'm all for a referee that doesn't just whip out the yellow card every time he sees someone fall down.
Celtic are coming to terms with what is a painful experience. This season of league meetings is going to pass without them having one single win against Rangers. They'll have to refer back to the Scottish Cup. Rangers may not be finished yet. Oh, and the free kick. Walker stopped Goff playing the free kick, which he wasn't entitled to do there. And the first to take exception to that was Ian Ferguson. Well, I certainly agree with what you said about the yellow card and the lack of it, Andy, but I do think Andy Walker's lucky not to have been booked. Ferguson, oh, terrific work from him. Tenacious and concentrating on the job, not distracted by the attempts to stop him, which were illegal. Stevens. 5 minutes to go, and Rangers looking to enjoy every second of it. Brown is onside. Terrific work by Brown. Oh, the linesman did have the flag up. He had run it behind. Goff and Butcher have dealt with everything hit through the middle at them, although Goff had to think quickly then after the first header had dropped Celtic's way. But everyone wearing the Rangers light blue has enjoyed this.
Yeah, I think Billy McNeil will be disappointed in probably the areas or the players that he thought could win the game for him. Paul McStay, Jackie Jakanowski and Joe Miller just haven't performed at all. But one mustn't take anything away from Rangers. You can only perform as well as you're allowed to. And Rangers haven't allowed the key men in the Celtic team to perform.
That catch-weight contest again between Butcher and Miller. And Grant was fouled by McCoist. But I think the Celtic supporters, and indeed the players, might go away from here wondering what would have happened but for that first penalty, which you have to say was unnecessarily conceded. Though it did come at a time when Rangers were controlling the play, but still hadn't solved their recent difficulties about scoring goals. The penalty changed that, the first penalty, and they haven't looked back. Brown. That's happy reading for the Rangers fans. And as one of the few neutrals in the stadium, I do think it's a fair reflection on the way the game has gone. Maybe the only neutral in the stadium. I think one thing about Old Firm games, that a lot of matches with 3 goals separating the two teams would just die in the last few moments. There is absolutely no chance of that happening here.
The supporters don't allow it.
Every challenge being fiercely contested, every decision by referee or linesman being disputed, although Celtic can't dispute that one off Mike Galloway. Galloway back from suspension and possibly not fully fit. There was a scare that he was coming into the game with an injury, but he will have done everything Billy McNeil expected of him in terms of effort and commitment. But he hasn't been able to influence the course of the game. Miller. Munro's header. Oh, and Butcher, who hasn't made hardly a slip. And even then, that's the way it's gone for Celtic today. They couldn't seize on it. Final thoughts, Andy?
Yes, I don't think anyone can complain about the scoreline. I think Rangers got it right straight from the tactical start by Graham Souness and Walter Smith. Tactically, they got it exactly right, and what they wanted was it from the players, and certainly Rangers have looked to Keena to get the result. As in the cup tie some weeks ago, Celtic looked as if they wanted the result. There's no doubt Rangers looked as if they wanted it today, and I don't think Celtic or the supporters can have any complaints about the result.
Elliott. It's another offside. And Celtic come up short again. Rangers have returned to winning ways, or the crowd think they have. The stoppage involves, though, a booking for coin for another disputing of the decision. And when players get suspended, maybe they look back and think, well, I got myself booked when we were 3-0 down in the last minute. Maybe that's a lesson to be learnt. There is the final whistle, and Rangers are back on the right trail again in the best possible situation for them. The goals from Mark Walters' penalty and Maurice Johnston in the first half. The record-breaking second penalty by Ali McCoist, the only scorer in the second. But it means 2 points to put them securely back on the